Let me tell you a story. Around the year 1983 in Taiwan, at New Taipei City, I encountered a young man. He looks to be in his 20s. This young man was a journalist. What kind of journalist was he? He was a journalist for a magazine publisher. This magazine also reports on supernatural events. This young man, as a journalist, was responsible for covering supernatural events. One day, the area that he was covering on is known as Guanlo Yin. Do you know what Guanlo Yin is? At that time, the television was also reporting on it. The various kinds of supernatural phenomenon that would also include reporting on Guanlo Yin. Hence, this journalist went to report on this. What is Guanlo Yin like? On one side, it's like watching television. On the other, there's communication with surrounding people. In that case, he went to report on Guanlo Yin. When he went, it just so happened that the other party was holding the religious assembly and event for Guanlo Yin. He went there personally to experience and try it. At the scene, there was a dozen of people present. What is Guanlo Yin like? The ritual entails sitting on a chair with the feet stepping on the talisman, which means putting a piece of the incantation on the soles of the feet. The eyes will be covered with a cloth. Within the cloth, there is also a piece of the magical incantation, which means that the incantations are also covering the eyes, and afterwards using a cloth to secure its hold. Standing at the side is a Taoist priest. The person may not necessarily be a Taoist priest, but someone who knows how to recite the magical mantras. Reciting the mantra to guide the person to enter the Netherworld. This is Guanlo Yin, observing and sightseeing in the Netherworld. Over there, it is forbidden to recite sutras, mantras, or the Buddha's name. As reciting the Buddha's sutras, mantras, or the Buddha's name, the mantra used for the ritual may not work. The ritual may not be successful for everyone on the first attempt. In that case, on that day, the young man managed to enter the Netherworld, while the others were unsuccessful. Hence, the one responsible for reciting the mantra and guiding focused on the young man. At the start, when he first started reciting the mantras, if the person participating in the ritual saw a different image, he is required to say it out. When he said it out, the person reciting the mantra will judge whether he managed to enter the Netherworld or not. For the young journalist's case, he managed to enter the Netherworld. There must be a purpose in entering the Netherworld. The purpose could be wanting to see your ancestors, or seeing your destiny, or just out of curiosity, wanting to go for sightseeing in the Netherworld. They would have different mantras suited for your purpose. This young man's purpose was wanting to find his grandmother. As he was brought up by his grandma since young. Towards his grandmother, he recalls finally, although his grandmother had passed away for many years ago, but if he could make use of this to see his grandmother, that is also considered a very memorable wish. The person conducting the ritual then changed to another kind of mantra. A mantra that will guide the journalist to find his grandmother. After a period of time, at a remote, desolate, and lonely place, in a very low place, and within a house that doesn't look like one. It is there that he found his grandmother. With great difficulty, the grandmother and his grandson managed to meet in the Netherworld. Hence, they were very happy and excited when they saw each other, and there were endless talk between them. The Taoist priest beside him asked, "Ask your grandmother if she lacks money. We can burn some joss paper and she can receive it now." Unlike most ancestral worship, where there would be neighboring wandering ghosts that will steal the money, which may not up in the hands of the ancestors. At the same time, the Taoist priest is hurrying him to end the interaction. As for the consciousness of people with predominant yang, if they abide in the Netherworld for too long, they may not be able to come back, hence he is responsible. The young man asks his grandmother if she needs money. Within this moment, he suddenly had an idea. Within his mind, he silently recited a single recitation of Namo Amitabha Buddha. Although he is not a Buddhist practitioner, but he had reported on several kinds of supernatural events, which would also include reporting on monasteries, and he knew the merits and benefits of Amitabha recitation. Hence, at that moment, he suddenly thought of the Buddha's name. Therefore, in his mind, he silently recited the Buddha's name, because he knew that it is forbidden from reciting the Buddha's name in this place. Neither can he recite other sutras. But in his mind, when this phrase of Namo Amitabha Buddha was recited out, suddenly in the sky Amitabha Buddha appeared. He saw Amitabha Buddha appeared, and Amitabha Buddha was carrying a box with both hands. What kind of box is that? It's a box that is filled with gold, silver, and treasured pearls. At the same time, this treasure box was already in the arms of his grandmother. In addition, the clothes his grandmother was wearing at that moment suddenly changed into one of elegance, resembling the clothes of a bodhisattva, and at the same time her face and body changed, causing her to look dignified. The shoe she wore was golden in color and made up of pure gold. At that time, his grandmother specially lifted up her feet to let him see. This pair of shoes is as bright and of noble quality as gold. In fact, it was made of gold. Reciting the Buddha's name in the Netherworld, the Buddha immediately appears. The spirits will immediately change into having the appearance and elegance of a bodhisattva. When he told me about this incident, I asked him, at that time, how many repetitions of the Buddha's name did you recite? He said, only one. Then I asked again, why didn't you recite more? He replied that he didn't thought about it. Of course, he is not an Amitabha reciter. He only knew the benefits of Amitabha recitation. If he is an Amitabha reciter, in no matter what place, time, or situation, without any much pondering, he would continue to be mindful and recite the Buddha's name. Think about it. If he continued to recite the Buddha's name in the Netherworld, perhaps on the spot his grandmother would have been received by Amitabha Buddha to the western land of ultimate bliss. But because the process was very fast, the person conducting the ritual beside him brought him back to the living world. Once he was brought back, his grandmother's outcome and ending is unknown. When we recite the Buddha's name for others, Amitabha Buddha will release his light to receive them.